Raise your hand if you've ever typed a perfectly normal sentence and watched autocorrect turn it into something absolutely unhinged. And keep your hand raised if you've ever wondered if autocorrect is destroying your social life. Yeah, me too. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Autocorrect isn't broken. It's actually working how it was designed. The problem is it was made by people who hate human communication. This is why autocorrect hates you. Here's the thing about autocorrect. It doesn't just randomly mess up your messages. It has a pattern, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Autocorrect has this uncanny ability to change the most common obvious word that you're trying to type into the most bizarre, inappropriate alternative possible. It's like it sits there analyzing your text and thinks, you know what, instead of going with meeting, let's go with meatball to spice things up. But here's where it gets horrible. Autocorrect never fails when you're typing something embarrassing that you actually want to send. Oh no, it only springs into action when you're actually trying to be professional, when you're texting your crush, or when you're having a serious conversation. And don't even get me started on how it handles names. Type McDonald's and it may suggest McDonald's or McDiddy, literally anything except the most famous fast food chain on the planet. But somehow it always knows which swear word you're trying to avoid and helpfully corrects your typo into something that would make a sailor blush. There's even entire subreddits dedicated to just autocorrect fails, and that's not counting the thousands of them that are already out there online. The worst part, autocorrect has gotten worse recently, not better. Users are reporting that their phones are going back and changing words that they've already typed out correctly. Imagine typing a perfectly fine sentence and moving on to the next word and watching in horror as autocorrect decides your sentence is not good enough and just changes it into complete nonsense. It's like having your own editor who waits until you've moved on before vandalizing your work. So why does autocorrect failure make us irrationally angry? There's actual psychology behind this, and it's not pretty. When autocorrect screws up, it triggers what psychologists call a violation of expectation. Your brain expects the tool to work, and when it doesn't, it creates a dissonance that manifests into pure unbridled rage. It's basically rage baiting you into thinking you didn't know how to spell the word "the" after writing it for 20 years correctly. There's something deeply personal about a machine correcting your language, especially when the machine is wrong. It's like having one of those know-it-all friends who keeps interrupting you to correct your pronunciation, except the friend is also stupid. The really twisted part is that we've developed a Stockholm Syndrome relationship with autocorrect. We know it's going to betray us, but we keep it enabled because let's face it, without it, it would look like we're typing with our elbows riding on a roller coaster. We need it, but we hate needing it. It's basically the abusive relationship of the tech world. And then there's the social anxiety aspect. How many times have you sent a message and then realize that autocorrect butchered it, and now you have to send that awkward follow-up text after? We've all become apologists for our phone's bad behavior. We're out here defending algorithms' honor while it's actively sabotaging our conversations. To understand how autocorrect hates you, you need to understand how it works. And spoiler alert, it doesn't think very well. Autocorrect works by comparing what you type to a database of words and the probability of appearing in certain contexts. It sounds smart, but it's not. It's like a librarian who's only read half of the books and then makes recommendations on pure guesswork. The algorithm looks at your typing patterns, your previous messages, and words around what you're typing. Then it makes predictions on what you probably meant to say. Problem is, it's trained on vast amounts of text data, which means it's learned all of humans' worst language habits. Here's where it gets really fun. Autocorrect doesn't understand context the way humans do. It sees pattern, not meaning. So when you type "I'm ducking tired," it doesn't understand that you're probably not talking about waterfowl-related fatigue. It just knows that ducking is a word in its database, and it's going to stick with that no matter how obvious your actual intention was. The machine aspect makes it even worse. Your phone is supposed to learn your typing patterns and get better over time. But instead of it learning that you never want to type the word ducking, it seems to double down on its mistakes. It's like teaching a student who's determined to learn all the wrong lessons. And don't get me started on predictive text, which is autocorrect's evil twin. While autocorrect changes what you've already typed, predictive text guesses what your next word will be. It's like having someone finish your sentences, except they're really bad at it and choose the worst possible continuation of your thoughts. The cultural phenomenon that we created. Autocorrect has fundamentally changed how we communicate, and not necessarily for the better. Like I said before, there are websites, social media accounts, and even comedy routines dedicated to the horrible autocorrect fails that some of us have faced. We've turned our technological frustration into entertainment, which is probably the most human response possible. The generational divide is fascinating too. Older users who learn to type on actual keyboards have a different relationship with autocorrect than ones who grew up texting. For digital natives, autocorrect has always been a part of the writing process. They've never known a world where their writing tools don't have opinions on their word choices. That's simultaneously impressive and deeply concerning. We've also developed this weird habit of blaming autocorrect for words that we may have actually wanted to type. "Oh, sorry, that was just autocorrect" has become the universal excuse for any word or sentence that comes off as wrong. It's the technological equivalent of "I was hacked," except we use it for everything from mild embarrassment to major social conversations. The corporate conspiracy. Here's where it gets interesting. Every major tech company, Apple, Google, Microsoft, they all have their own autocorrect systems, and they all suck in completely different ways. It's like they're competing to see who can frustrate users most creatively. Apple's autocorrect is aggressively prudish, Google's is weirdly unpredictable, and for Microsoft, it was like it was programmed by someone who's never actually used language before. But here's a conspiracy theory that might actually be true. What if autocorrect is bad on purpose? Think about it. These are companies that can recognize your face, predict your shopping habits, and serve you ads based on what you were just thinking about. But they can't figure out when you type "t" that you probably meant "the." That seems suspicious. Maybe bad autocorrect keeps us engaged with our devices longer. Every time it screws up, we have to go back, fix it, maybe even send a follow-up text message. More screen time, more data collection, more opportunities to serve us ads. It's diabolical if true and incompetent if not. Either way, we're the ones paying the price. The really frustrating part is that these companies could fix autocorrect tomorrow if they wanted to. They have the technology, the data, and the resources. But instead we get incremental updates that somehow makes things worse. It's like they're actively working against us and we're just supposed to accept it as the price of technological progress. So let's talk about the real solution, which isn't better autocorrect. It's autocorrect that knows when to shut up. We need an algorithm that understands when we're being deliberate about our word choices, when we're using slang or regional dialects, and when we're trying to be creative with our words. But that requires a level of contextual understanding that we are nowhere near achieving. Voice to text is supposed to be the future, but anyone who's tried dictating a text message in just a slightly noisy environment knows that it's basically just really bad autocorrect. Maybe the real future is giving up on perfection and embracing chaos. Unless you go back to the 2010s where everyone had one of those BlackBerry flip phones. I had one of those myself when I was a little kid and I loved it. And I can also maybe see phone companies bringing those back, as there are people out there that love that simplistic look. Let me know in the comments what your most embarrassing, awkward autocorrect fail was. I've had my fair share of them for sure, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you stay tuned. Peace out.